All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We've got head coach Mark Few here. We're going to start with an opening statement from coach. Then we'll turn it over to questions from the student athletes. After the student athletes are done with questions, they'll be dismissed, and we'll go back to coach for questions. Coach, whenever you're ready.
Yep. Well, hey, it was just another great game with San Francisco, man. They bring out the best in us, just the intensity of it. And I'm just so impressed with how hard they play. And Chris has got them doing some great stuff offensively. So they're a tough guard for us, especially when they space the floor. They were really shooting the three ball tonight and doing a lot of different things to get those shots. But the guys did a great job adjusting, especially in that second half. They chose to not guard some of our guys, which some people have done in the past, and I thought Anton and Ben did just a fantastic job of handling that. And then we had 23 assists and 3 turnovers, which, I've been doing this 25 years. We've never had a line like that at Gonzaga. So, that's primarily these two guards up here. So, great job. It's great to be moving on and playing in the championship, another great team. But, man, San Francisco just seems like an NCAA tournament team to me. I wish their analytics were better or whatever, because they've been a tough out for us. A lot of respect.
We do have a mic holder, so please raise your hand if you have a question. Questions for Ryan, Ben, or Nolan?
Yeah, for Benny, kind of a tough shooting half for you in the first half. How'd you turn it around? What was going through your head early in the second?
Me and Travis Knight watched a show called Ted Lasso, and the big thing is called we got to be a goldfish and have a short memory. And that's what he told me, and I was like, yeah, you're right. You got to forget about having the first half and come out and keep shooting my shot. I know it's going to go in. I worked so hard on it. And these guys gave me all the confidence in the world to tell me to keep on shooting it. So kept letting it fly and finally made a couple. It's a good feeling.
Question in the back over there.
For the two guards, when Ben or anyone is on such a flurry like that, how much is it enjoying getting it to them and letting them go for a heat check?
Man, Benny gets us going with no matter what he do. I feel like even on the defensive end, rebounding, whatever it is, he do all the dirty work. I ain't gonna lie. So just to get him going with 3 ball, I love it. I love it. That's all that is. I love it.
Another question in the back.
Nolan, where do you think you've seen Ben grow the most this year?
Man, in all aspects of his game, I've seen Ben grow. Ever since I got here, I've been seeing Benny grow, and putting in the work, off hours, everything. I've been seeing Benny grow ever since I've been here. I ain't gonna lie. So.
It was kind of a tough shooting first half. How are you able to kind of steady the team and provide some offense in that half when it was a little choppy?
Just keep trying to be aggressive, keep trying to get our flow going. And, I feel like we just missed a couple bunnies in the first half, easy ones around the rim, and we knew they were going to fall eventually. So we just kept chopping wood, kept doing what we do, and eventually they fell. So,
Nolan, you got St. Mary's again on Tuesday night. You've played them twice this year. You seem like you play them 3 times every year.
Yeah.
Just talk about the matchup and how excited you are to be back in the championship game.
Man, I'm super excited, blessed first and foremost. It's always fun playing against these guys. It's always a war. We know that going into it, it's never going to be, like a days of going done. It's always going to be a bar fight, what Coach likes to say. But we know that going into it, and I think me and my guys, we're ready for it.
For Ryan, they were dedicating a lot of defensive attention to Graham, obviously. How did you guys navigate that and get the offense going?
I just feel like we got a bunch of good players that know how to hoop, man. And if one guy has an off night, other guys will pick him up. And we know how great G is and how great he's been playing recently. So we just missed a couple bunnies around the rim tonight.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Questions for Coach Few? Up here in the middle.
What did you learn about your team early this season that is paying off right now and why they're playing so well?
What did I learn or what?
Yeah, they got kind of a slow start and now you guys are hot again.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we played in Maui. It's probably the toughest Maui field that's been assembled, and probably one of the greatest MTEs that's ever been assembled. So, we went out and played some guys, and you play Purdue, you play UConn, and you play teams like that, man, you get exposed a little bit, and so I think we were still trying things. Like with anything, you think, well, it might work, and then when it doesn't work, you have to get back and make adjustments, and obviously we did that, and I think, I think that was a little bit underrated was just how much, we had a lot of change, we lost an icon of a player, and Drew Timme, and in more ways than one, just his swag that he had, kind of carried us through a lot of moments, and so we had to figure out ways, not only offensively, defensively, but, Ryan hadn't played with Ben and hadn't played with Nolan and certainly hadn't played with Graham Ike, and I think Ryan and Graham now are really very much in sync, and those are the two guys we primarily have in a lot of ball screens, so figured out some defensive things that we'd be more successful at, and that's kind of what happens during the season, it's why you practice.
Question from Theo up front.
I think Ben missed his first 4 shots, but I think in the first half he still had 8 rebounds. What does it say that he's kind of finding ways to contribute when the offense isn't always coming?
Well, you know that, man. He's just he's our Mr. Zag. He just flies around and the guys feed off him, and he just does all those little things, and his positive energy is palpable, and we really truly feed off that. So it doesn't really matter if he's making shots or not, it's just that's kind of, as I was telling him, that's just his job to bring that. So, but we encourage him. Ben's a great shooter, for them to play off him is, I don't know, reckless. So, and that's what I told him. Just, same with Anton. Anton's shooting over 40 from 3. So, but sometimes it's hard when a guy's like insulting you. It kind of messes with your rhythm and messes with your, should I shoot? Should I drive? I thought Anton did a great mix of driving some and shooting some, and he's seen that a bunch. We've seen that, all the way back to 2 years ago when we played Purdue in the PK 85. So he's well prepared for it. So.
Question in the back right.
Mark, going along those lines, when Ben had his big run, did you get any flashbacks, especially here in Vegas, to Killian when he was here and the games he was able to have here in Vegas?
I did not. I don't really have flashbacks during the games, which is probably a good thing. But those were great memories. Killian was on just a crazy roll down here. I don't know what. I think he made 13 in a row or something. It's just uncanny. So. But I did not, didn't flash back to that. I was mad at Ben for turning down a couple of his, wide open looks. And just, I always teach him just let it rip, and the next one's always going in.
We'll go to the back left with a question.
Coach, you mentioned San Francisco bringing out the best in you. It seemed like St. Mary's, when you played them last, really was kind of one of your best performances of the year. Is that another team that kind of brings forth a good performance?
Hey, these are good teams, man. I told Chris after the game, I just feel like they're an NCAA tournament team. They have a lot of weapons, and they're well coached. And you do one thing, they adjust, and they got shooters, they got Mogbo, they got, this is the first time I think we beat them on the glass. And obviously, St. Mary's and Randy, this is gonna be a totally different game. It'll be a much more low possession game. Even though the last time we played them, we were able to get some turnovers and get out and run and got the tempo going a little bit to our liking. But the one in Spokane was a little bit slower, but I think we led that one for quite a while and just didn't finish it off. So they're a great team. He's an awesome coach, and I'm sure it'll be extremely, extremely physical. It's always a very, very, very physical game.
Next question here in the middle.
Coach, you've talked about Nolan's growth, just maybe bouncing back from a rough first half, but just as a leader, you talked about most of the new faces how much of a leader has he been, especially for some of the younger guys, just based on his past mistakes?
No, that's a great call. I'm hearing his voice more and more, and you just hear, when they're walking out of the locker room, I'll hear his voice, or at practice, I'll hear his voice when we're kind of lolling around or whatever. So, I mean, that kind of triggers that, hey, we're gaining some ground here with him. And again, I don't think he was great in the first half today either. I don't know the stats, but he got going again today. When I was calling his number, almost exclusively the first 10 minutes of that second half. So, and he made the right basketball play. Hit a shot, hit a runner, had 2 dump downs to Anton. And so, I mean, there's some growth there instead of just thinking it's time to shoot every time, So, those are the moments that make you proud as a coach. And I think he's very much stepped it up in a variety of ways.
Question over here on the right.
Coach, I know it wasn't his biggest scoring game, but Graham Ike, can you just talk about what he's meant to the team and just how he's been able to kind of build and grow as a guy that came in with so much experience?
Yeah, no, it wasn't, but obviously they, as Jim alluded to, I mean, they were, hell bent on doubling down on him and doing all kinds of things, and I thought he handled it well. He trusted his teammates. Yeah, he's been huge. I mean, for us to work and function, we always have to have that inside guy that can score. And then what really helps us is when the inside guy's so good, if he requires double teams, then that creates action for everybody else. We had the greatest guy in college basketball doing that for a while, and so we needed somebody to step in here and do that. And I think he's done it in his own way, very different way than Drew, but he's slowly kind of just figured it out, and the guys have figured it out. He's became very, 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 very good in there.
Any final question for Coach Few? Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
have a mutual best friend.
All lies.
All right, everybody, we're going to get started. We're going to start with an opening statement from Coach. We'll turn it over to Malik and Marcus for questions. Afterwards, they'll be dismissed, and we'll go back to Coach.
First thing I would like to say is losing is atrocious. This is not what we signed up for. I'm super proud of my team, though. The things that they've done for our program this year, they're not even cognizant of that yet, which is fine. But myself and our staff are just incredibly grateful to be their coach. I'd probably be a lot more emotional if I thought our season wasn't over. I think we're a postseason team. So all the credit and respect in the world for Coach Few. I thought we had a great game plan going into the game. Our guys did an unbelievable job of embracing that and putting it into action in the first half. They probably got us on the offensive glass. I thought that was probably the separator in the first half. But they're a buzzsaw, man. When they get going, they're hard to deal with. And we didn't do a great job of responding to some adversity in the second half. But they continued to fight and play to the final buzzer. And as their coach, that's all I can really ask for. Again, not the result we wanted, but I tip my cap to Coach Few and Gonzaga and his players, and I wish them the best going forward. Great representation of our league.
Questions for Malik or Marcus?
Marcus, you guys had a nice little lead late in the first half, and then as you know, they ran off a number of points and took the lead into halftime, and then sort of just gradually pulled away on you in the second half. What do you think changed there?
I just think second chance points. They had momentum going into the second half, and they carried in going into the beginning of the second half. So that just kind of killed this.
Malik, how disheartening was it to watch Greg just firing out those 3-pointers? It's the first time in his career he's ever made 4 in a game. He made 4 in about 4 minutes.
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to give glory to God. Without him, none of this is possible. But just like Marcus said, second chance points. He got some open looks, got in transition. So credit to them. They push in transition and they play the game at a fast pace. So we got to go back to the drawing board and fix some things for sure.
Marcus, do you feel like you guys are really close to being at that level now? I mean, you've had a terrific season and you've played them really tough through the first half of the last couple of games for sure. What's it feel like?
It doesn't feel great because at the end of the day we still lost, but I feel like we're right there. Coach always talks about our breakthrough is right there, and it's only his second year as the head coach of the program, and look what he's done. So I just feel like, coming back next year, even though our season isn't over for conference play, we're going to be one of those teams talked about with Gonzaga and St. Mary's.
Any other questions for the student athletes?
Hey, Malik and Marcus, RoccoMillerBrackets.org. Ryan Beasley didn't play in the second half. What was that like, trying to adjust on the fly without one of your partners in crime out there, especially at the guard position?
Ryan Beasley is great for us. He plays the game the right way. He plays as hard as anybody. He plays extremely hard. That's all I can say. Just not having him out there is for sure a pain, but we got to learn how to adjust. But, credit to him for how hard he plays, and he lays it all out there on the floor for sure. So,
Anything else? Thanks, guys.
thank you.
Questions for Coach? Jeff in the front.
Chris, talk about the start of the second half, if you would. Just all of a sudden they're hitting everything from the perimeter, and it got out of hand pretty quick, it seemed like.
Yes and no. Unfortunately, when you're playing a caliber team of Gonzaga and St. Mary's, you game plan and you have to be willing to give up something, right? We got our butts kicked by Graham Ike at the Chase Center, and we adjusted our game plan to try to negate some of that. And as I said, I thought our guys did as good of a job as you could do in the first half of embracing what the game plan was. They made some changes, but we were willing to live with Ben, Greg, Anton. They're hell of a players, both of them. But you just said it. They've never made that many threes in their career. So we're playing a numbers game. Analytics is big in our program. And we thought that would give us the best chance to win. And credit to them. They stepped up and made shots. I thought once he made a few, we talked about being a little bit more sticky on the perimeter and closing out. And he made a couple tough. He made one that bounced off a guy's foot, kicked right to him. He knocked it down and saw a few go in, and his confidence grew. But they're good players, and they're a good team. So I loved our plan. I wouldn't change that if I had to do it over again. Just need to be a little bit better, as you said, to start the second half.
You're pretty convinced you'll play some more?
I sure hope so. There's never been a WCC team not represented in the NIT in the last 15 years. And our metrics and our numbers are all in the area to be a team that does that. So do we want to – we had bigger aspirations, play in the NCAA tournament. But again, that would be a great opportunity for our program, for our university, and for our league to continue to play.
Any other questions for Coach?
Hey, Coach. Just looking back on the season, I know I expect you to be in the postseason as well, so we're on the same page there. I just wanted to ask about, pre-postseason. You finish up 23-10. We know non-conference had a huge deal with how the landscape played out for the league. So many tight losses. Utah State just won their league. Grand Canyon won their league. Looking back on that, are you happy with the way you scheduled, and what can you take away from this year going into next year all as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to schedule to be an NCAA caliber team, and to put yourself in those conversations, you have to schedule a certain way. I thought we gave ourselves opportunities in the non-conference. As you said, came up short in a couple of those key games, but we also had some really good wins in the non-conference too. I'm incredibly proud of my team. I'm proud of where we're going. As I said to our athletic director, we're not where I want to be, but we're on the right trajectory. And we're going to get there. We're going to get there. This is all part of the process. I love the guys that we get a chance to work with every day, and we're going to continue to get better. That's why I want more days to play, is to get better and continue to make a step as a program.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate you guys.